599, Big 550, KTRS. Martin Kilcoyne comes your way 1 hour from now. If you're watching television on HD channel 11.2, that's KPLR 11.2, you're watching a live broadcast of KTRS Radio, broadcasting, resonating from Brentwood Boulevard in St. Louis, cross street from the Galleria. If you're watching channel 187 on Charter, you're watching a live broadcast of KTRS Radio as well. You can also watch us at stltoday.com. Go to the opinion tab page, front page of KTRS.com. You can listen anywhere in the world with our app. One radio station, one app. It's simple. It's easy. Go to the App Store, search KTRS, hit download, and within moments, you'll be listening to crystal clear quality. And then, of course, we're always 550 on your AM dial. Hope you had a good weekend. Over the weekend, I read a story that I literally had to read the same sentence 3 or 4 times because I didn't quite actually believe the sentence when I read it the first time. It was written by Kevin McDermott, and it's in the newspaper. And the story I kept reading was that. Here was the sentence. In lapel, the story is about the veto session last week, and the story is about legislators and lobbyists and special interests coming together for a little cocktail hour before the veto session. And this is what I read. In the lapel pockets or purses of many of them, ready to be delivered to the host legislators, are the plain white envelopes that contain the fuel that propels Missouri politics. And I was like, what? I was like, that story doesn't make any sense. In the lapel pockets or purses of many of them, ready to be delivered to the host legislators, are the plain white envelopes that contain the fuel that propels Missouri politics. And that's, what? Yeah, that's exactly right. This story is about last week, before the veto session, legislators, many of them, hold happy hours, toasted ravioli and cash bar with a lovely basket at the door. And at that basket, you're supposed to put the envelope full of money to the elected official. How busy or how much money do these people raise? Some people, well, the numbers aren't in this year, but the Post-Dispatch did the legwork. Last year, some people raised $8,000, which was somewhat on the lower side. Scott Sifton, who I believe has been on the show a couple of times, he raised $20,000 in all last year. $750,000 poured into the lawmakers' accounts before and right after the veto session in those white envelopes. Now, I get it. I know politicians raise money all the time. I know it. That's how it works. It is what it is. But there are 24, 25 other states that have a law that says you cannot fundraise on the Capitol grounds. You cannot fundraise during a session, right? There are some that say you can't fundraise in the surrounding areas, right? There's a law that says that the president cannot make phone calls, political phone calls, fundraising phone calls from the Oval Office because that's a government deal, and you shouldn't be soiling the office with the dirty politics, and it should be above reproach. And so we know this. But to have a basket out, hey, here's your toasted ravioli. Why don't you go buy yourself a beer and don't forget your envelope. Now, you think it's that crass? In this story, Rick Stream, who you would remember lost a narrow vote to Steve Stenger for St. County executive. He was in the House last year. Now he's running for the Senate. The story says, and I'm reading straight from this story, one of them, a woman, meaning a lobbyist, handed Stream a white envelope, then turned and quipped to the man standing nearby, "Sorry, we don't have one for you." At that, Stream held the envelope towards the man and joked, "Hey, do you want to touch it?" So a lobbyist gives this guy the envelope with a check. He turns around and starts taunting somebody else, another legislator. "Hey, I bet you want this one."
You know what's really funny? I just saw the new movie about Whitey Bulger.
Yeah.
And Whitey Bulger, the Boston gangster, the Boston crime lord, wouldn't take money from somebody that was paying him off. He wouldn't touch it. Nope, you take. Somebody else has to take the money. Although, and in Jeff City, they'll gladly take the money and touch the money right in front of anybody else.
Right to it. Now,
mobsters won't even take the money.
Rick Stream later told the Post-Dispatch that if the legislator were to institute a ban on session day fundraising, I would certainly support that, though he stressed that there's nothing untoward about his own fundraising. "I know the public feels like it looks like there's a conflict of interest or influence buying," he tells the Post-Dispatch, "but I know that in my case, nobody could pay me any amount of money to get my vote." Last year, he raised $22,000 in the veto session. He's quoted as saying, "I frankly cannot be bought." Now, of course, I take the man at his word. Fine, the man can't be bought. But you know what? I can be bought. Because you know what? If I were not getting paid, I would not be on the radio right now. I'd love to do it, but somebody, right? We're all bought. We're all bought and paid for. Everyone who goes to work is bought and paid for, right? We all do things for money. We all incentivize. As a matter of fact, many, many politicians talk about incentivizing work. If you are not incentivized to work, what do? You sit on your couch and you just collect money. You need to actually do something for that money. Why are we giving you money for no reason? Except when it comes to politicians, we give them all this money and we're supposed to believe we give them this money and they don't do anything for it. They're the only body in the history of the known world that can laughably actually stand there straight in the face and say, it might look bad that I'm taking these envelopes. Excuse me. Thank you very much. It might look bad that I'm taking these envelopes, but quite frankly, I am not influenced at all. Thank you very much. I am not influenced at all by these envelopes. Thank you. Oh, have a good day. Yeah, good to see you. How's your wife doing? Great. Yeah. Next question. Are you kidding me? Now, I know this is inside politics. I know this is inside baseball. I know it's so bad that it's like, what are you supposed to do? But the fact that we now have, we've just forgot, we don't even play the game anymore. As Frank says, you don't even give it to somebody else. When you go to a wedding, you don't give the gift to the husband and the wife. You at least put it on a table. You give it to a bridesmaid. You don't go up and give the money to the spouse and the groom, right? You don't do that. It's sort of untoward, right? You don't, when you're bribing an usher, you don't hand him an envelope. You quietly, back pocket, you give it to somebody else, right? I mean, this story is unbelievable. Now, they ask a lobbyist, why don't you just put it in the mail? He said, I guess I could, but, I came here to see some people, shake a couple hands, see how you're doing. Caleb Roden, Republican from Columbia, is quoted as saying, at the end of the day, checks are going to come in either way. This is just a chance that they get to hand it to us instead of putting it in a P.O. box. Everybody does it. He goes on to say, he co-hosted a rooftop party at Jay Feeney's. By the way, also there, Representative Scott Fitzpatrick, Bill Lant, Republican of Pineville. I guess they all have their separate their separate baskets, right? I guess they just sort of, with the little name on it. Oh, one for you, no, none for you, one for you, and one for you. Wow. Why would they change? Why would they change since Missourians don't care? This isn't an issue. We don't care. What I wish they would do is while they're disclosing how much money they're getting from these lobbyists and other politicians and special interests, they should also just have a number of women and or interns that were abused or who quit because they were preyed upon. I think they should also disclose that while they're disclosing how much money they raised during the session. 314-969-KTRS, 1-888-550-KTRS, or star KTRS. Those are the phone numbers. Remember, this same legislative body is where they had a Speaker of the House. He was Speaker of the House and quit to become a lobbyist. That's our state government in action. 920, Big 550, KTRS. Hope you went to